welcome back to my channel. A big welcome to those of you who are new to the channel. It's lovely to have you. So glad that you could join us. Today I'm going to be showing you all the colorings I have done in the month of May. I actually thought that May was going to be a quiet coloring month. I was afraid I was only going to get through about 2 or 3 completed pages. It turns out I have actually done a lot more than I had expected, and in some ways I've been able to color in a bit more than I usually do. So I'm going to run you through all of my completed pages, and I will show you some of the WIPs that I have got going and want to complete in June. So first up is 100 Hugs by Chris Riddle. This is one of the newer books I just recently purchased, and I really have enjoyed this book. I've only done 3 pages. This was my first page. I decided to use Prismacolor pencils because they would allow me a more intense color and also to blend the layers together a lot quicker. The paper quality isn't very great, which is to be expected. After all, it is a reading book, or just a book, so the paper is very much print stock, and you won't be able to get much layers on it. I think if I can get 3 or 4 layers, then that's probably the max. So with Prismacolors, it allows me to just move the pigment a little bit quicker and get things colored in. So they're very quick colorings. And then I've got this one. I used a reference video for the reference photo for the bamboo, just to make sure I was getting the correct shades in. And I also took some grays and purples, and I just went in and created some of the shadows a bit more so that it looked more realistic. But then I left all the black parts of the panda bears the way it had been drawn. I didn't want to add too much. Then the next page I did is the flamingos. Here I used, for the base here, a bit of blues and browns. I wanted to create the illusion of the flamingo standing in some water or mud. I think that's something I need to just keep on practicing. And then I used a variety of pinks to create the beautiful feathers. I must say, I don't think that the paper will allow very fancy work. Maybe if you prime it. I don't have any primer, so I'm kind of allowing the illustrator's drawing to kind of show through past the colors to help with that definition of texture and all of that. So that is Chris Riddle's 100 Hugs. Next we have Mean Race Dirt Europa by Rita Berman, and we completed our double page spread, which I think looks absolutely fantastic. I'm very proud of this page. It took a really long time to complete, quite a few months, but in the end we were able to complete it together. So for those of you who joined me in this color along, thank you so much. It really helped a lot to know that you were coloring with me, and the times where I wanted to move on to something else, knowing that you were coloring with me just gave me the motivation to keep going. So thank you very much. Again, we used Prismacolors for this double page spread. For those of you who would like to do the color along video, there is a whole series. I think it was about 9 parts altogether, and you can go and watch all of that and color along with me, or you can change the colors, either which way. I use some paint pens up here and around here to create just a bit of a shine to it. I forgot to use the paint pen here on the second page, so if you look by the paintbrush here and on this side, it needs the same gold paint pen. So I'll just have to quickly go and fix that. But the rest of it was Prismacolor pencils. I used some paint pen here at the bubbles, and then for highlights I used a white Sakura jelly roll. And I think that it has come together really, really lovely. Definitely something for all of us to be proud of. And I learned a lot about combining different colors and creating different backgrounds. And I also really enjoyed the process and stepping out of my comfort zones. So for instance, adding a bit of bush here by the caravan and the car. So I am very pleased with this, and I have picked the next page I'd like to do, and it's this page. So I put out a couple of polls on the community posts on the channel, and the winning vote was to do a page in Rita Berman's books and to use polychromos. So I decided I will use this picture and I will use polychromos for this picture. So I'm hoping to be able to start filming that soon and get it to you somewhere between June and July, all going according to plan. So that is our completed works in Mean Race Dirt Europa by Rita Berman. The next Rita Berman page I did is in Die Welt unter der Lupe Zulandi, which translates to the land under the magnifying glass, or the world under the magnifying glass, something like that. And I came back to a really old whip. Now, I started this whip in 2021 when I got my Arteza pencils. I first did this page and then completed that and moved on and started coloring this lovely spread here. And I colored most of it, and then something happened and I got put off. So this month I came back to it, I pulled out the Arteza pencils again, and I completed it. And I'm really, really proud of the fact that I just completed it and didn't leave it as a whip. So I used soft pastels for the background, white Sakura jelly roll for all the bubbles and water droplets. I used some glitter pen here at the door hinges to see that shine, and then on the flower decoration here on the mouse. I don't know if you can see that. Everything else is Arteza pencils, and the set of 48. So I'm very, very pleased with it. I think it's turned out really, really well, and I'm glad to have completed another page in Die Welt unter der Lupe Zulandi. I do find this isn't my favorite Rita Berman book, but I do want to keep pushing myself to coloring more in it. So fingers crossed, hopefully we can do a bit more in here. The next book I did, and in no particular order, is the Flower Year, a coloring book by Leila Dooley. And as you know, I'm trying to color a page in this book every month. And for May, I was actually getting really worried that I wasn't going to end up completing a page. And Then I ended up in hospital with my youngest son, who was just not breathing properly. The doctors were quite worried, so we had to stay overnight at the hospital, get his breathing under control. And turns out he has a bit of asthma. And while we were there, my amazing husband drove the half hour to the hospital, brought me some coloring things, and I was able to color this beautiful page. And I really try to think of my own color combinations for the leaves. I used a reference photo for both flowers, and interestingly, they both actually have a very similar color palette. So it's really nice to be able to just color something in and know that the color palette is balanced and chosen for you. So I used polychromos pencils for this, and that's it. I don't even think I highlighted it with Sakura Jelly Roll. So it's just polychromos pencils. I did use a little bit of purple at the bottom of some of these fumitory flowers, and found that it actually worked quite well. I also tried to use some red violet to darken the bases as well. So yeah, and then for June, I'm hoping it's got quite a few simple pages, so I might do the poppies, or I might do this double page spread here, and we'll see how it goes. So that is what I colored in The Flower Year by Layla Dooley. Next up is The Magical City by Lizzie Mary Cullen. In this book, I use only Neocolor 2s and Inktense pencils. And I just really got interested in coming back to this book and just playing with the Inktense for a bit. And I found it quite quick and relaxing, but I also had a couple of whips that I wanted to finish up. So I chose 2 whips to finish, and then I did a 3rd page. So this was one of the whips, and I really like how the buildings stand out from the rest of the sky. I didn't know what to put on the inside here, but I was able to complete just the buildings, some of the lamps, and the sun area here. So overall, it's not one of those wow pages, but I'm glad it's done, and at least I can move on to something else now. So my next work is the stained glass, which is this one, and it's not my favorite design, but I really did enjoy coloring it. I really only had left to do was most of the stained glass. By the time I came back to it, I had already done the building side of things, and I really like how the building has turned out. I like the way that these decorations stand out from the rest of the wall. I didn't add any white lines or to show light reflecting out of the stained glass. I wanted to keep it really simple and let it just speak for itself. The background here is Neocolor 2s, and the rest is all Inktense. And again, I didn't add any highlights. I try to allow the white of the page to be the highlight, or just go very lightly with the Inktense, and then deepen the Inktense with layers and pigment to create the shadows. Then I joined a color along and the color along was hashtag Charlottenburg, and Charlottenburg Palace is in Berlin. So I went onto Pinterest, I did a bit of research, and I found a lovely reference photo. And the reference photo I found really had a lot of bold yellow or goldish yellows and teal blues. Some of the other photos I found on Pinterest were a bit more muted and white. Knowing Inktense the way I do, and my experience with it, I wasn't confident I could create those whiter shades. So I went for the bright gold, yellow, and the teal to create a lot of attention and really pop the picture out of the page. So I'll pop up on this side the reference photo I used. And then for the background, I used Neocolor 2s, and I also had found a tutorial. I think it's at Coloring with Jen. I find it, and I'll put it up here for you as well. And she has a lovely tutorial on how to use Inkten Neocolors and create a bit of a smoky, foggy, cloudy kind of background. And I really enjoyed doing it, and I like the way it has turned out. So there's a little bit of bleed through here, which I'll have to just see how I can fix when I get to this page. But yeah, I did this within a weekend, and it was really easy to do, and I really enjoyed it. So those are my colorings in The Magical City by Lizzie Mary Cullen. The next page I did was in Mythographic Paradise by Fabiano Attanasio, and this was a buddy color with the lovely Tammy, and we chose this page. And up till now, I've had Mythographic for about a year, and up till now I haven't managed to complete a single page in it. Mainly because all the details and the hidden objects have been just far too much for my brain to really get around. And so I'm really grateful Tammy picked this page and we were able to color it together. So we opted for a winter and spring theme for my page, and then Tammy's page was a winter and fall theme. I decided to tie everything together with the sunset background. So it's sunset going into sunrise. And I did do a tutorial for you so you can see how I did the gradient. So be sure to check that out. I tried polychromos here in the corner, but I found that it wasn't giving me the brightness of color that I wanted. So I switched over to Prismacolors, and I did the rest with Prismacolors. And I used white Sakura Jelly Roll and a white Uniball pen for the highlights. And I see here I haven't actually finished this water drop, so I'll just show you quickly how. So I used a 70% cool gray, and now I'm quickly going to do a 50% cool gray, and then I'll blend it all with a white. Just quickly finish this. Can't believe I actually didn't see it wasn't done. And then you just go over the black lines. And there you go. Okay, so I was going for a bit of a stained glass effect in the window panes, so for that I used gel pen and tried to give it a bit of a sparkle as well. And then I also used gel pen for the arch and these two panels, which if I was to redo it again, I would just color them in the same as the building. But hindsight's always 20/20. So that is my completed work in Mythographic Paradise by Fabiano Artenasia. Then my next completed works is in Gnomes in the Neighborhood by Denise Klett. I started on this one and then had a bit of a panic when it came to the flowers, so I've gone over with watercolor and gel pen in the middle, and then I'm using Prismacolors to go over, and I'm trying to create a very deep and dark flower. And then I don't know what happened here. I did the hair and the skin tone and everything, and then I just clammed up. So I moved away from it and I came and did this page. Zoom you out a bit more. And yeah, I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I did have a bit of a struggle finding the colors for the gnomes and making them complement and yet stand out. I used Neocolor 2s for the background and then went over it with pencil. The pencils I used were the Castle Art pencils, and I must say they did behave really well on this paper. I used paint pens to go around the flowers, yeah, all of the flowers, and a little bit of white Sakura jelly roll for these flowers here, which I added to the page, and a bit here and as extras here. And then if I bring it up, you should be able to see a little bit of a glitter on her shoes. But yeah, I didn't do too much sparkle. It was more just to use the gel pen to get the fine details out the way. But overall, I'm quite pleased with it. It hasn't come out too badly, and I think for a first attempt at gnomes, it's really done well. I did join a couple of color alongs for this one as well, and then I plan on doing another one in this hopefully soon, but I'll probably use polychromos or some other pencil and just see how the different pencils respond. I found the Neocolors worked really well. I did like them. So that is my completed works in Gnomes in the Neighborhood by Denise Klett. And then finally for my WIPs, I have started a page in Magical Delights by Klara Markova. I can just find it. And it is this one. And I'm using Prismacolors, which I find respond really, really well with this paper. So it's quite a pleasure to use them. And then I've got my notes on the side. So I'm trying different color combinations and trying to step out of my comfort zone and just try some new things. And I'm going to create a background gradient, maybe with a bit of a bokeh background from about here up. So we'll see how it goes. So that is my WIP in Klara Markova's Magical Delights. And my final WIP is in Country Charm by Teresa Goodrich, and I'm busy coloring in this page. And I'm using Prismacolor pencils, which I find work really well. So I'm planning on doing the wagon either a blue or a brown, like a light brown. I have found a couple of photos to help me with them, and then I need to find a reference photo for the building. But yeah, I find I find this particular book is really easy to color in, and it's quite an easy thing to do and a pleasure. So yeah, that's what I'm currently working on. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. Do come over to Instagram and find me on Instagram. There you can see what I color in as I do them. Thanks again. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.